It's an interesting week for Pakistan. Pakistan has found itself in a position where its military relevance is once again being noticed beyond its borders. I said military relevance, not anything else, because it makes sense. Not because of the sudden brilliance in its strategy, but because of the weakness and disorder around us. America is cornered, Israel is engaged in desperate war, Europe is restless, and India is arrogant. And on the top of it, Middle East is completely uncertain as to Arabs. In that vacuum, Pakistan has tried to position itself in the Middle East in terms of its military after the India war. Thanks to India. Still thanks to India, because its arrogance is making us relevant in the eyes of America or USA as a potential player. This perception of respect abroad, however, stands in sharp contrast to the fragility we see inside the country. Welcome to Fourth Club Post English.
Introduced Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to address the General Assembly.
Please order in the hall.
Silence dans la salle.
Призываю всех к порядку.
The Assembly will now hear an address by His Excellency Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif, Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Pakistan firmly supports the demand of the Palestinian people for the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state with pre-1967 borders and Al-Quds Sharif as its capital. Palestine can no longer remain under Israeli shackles. It must be liberated, and liberated with full commitment and with full force.
At home, institutions are under pressure. The judiciary is caught between resistance and manipulation. Opposition politics is pushed to the walls, with leaders jailed, workers dying in custody. In KP, collateral damage, in airstrikes. Nobody owns that. In Balochistan, the province is reduced to the security question. Punjab reels from floods affecting millions. Yet, aid becomes the stage for political credit. Whether there would be the picture of Benazir or would be the picture of Maryam. That's the question. These examples show that while the establishment seeks recognition abroad, it is losing trust at home. And respect without legitimacy is a temporary currency. The establishment knows that this weakness, which is why it projects its strength internationally, which is why they are trying to find their relevance internationally, because they know weakness invites leg pulling. Well, the Saudi-Pakistan Pact, the high-profile meetings with Turkey, Qatar, Indonesia, Egypt, along with Washington, obviously, these are all designed to send one message. Pakistan's military matters. The calculation is simple. If the world depends on us in Gaza, in the Middle East, on the counter-terrorism, in terms of minerals, America, in terms of crypto. By the way, I used to say that crypto would backfire, and now we found that terrorists in KP are being funded through crypto now. Pakistan is not safe for crypto. It will stop asking uncomfortable questions when we all project ourselves as relevant. Nobody will question us what we do inside Pakistan. That's what the establishment is doing. International leverage is becoming a shield for domestic control. But politicians are wary of it, especially Nawaz Sharif. Let's come to that later. But leverage is not the same as strength. It buys time, it creates space, but it cannot replace outcomes. And here lies the danger. The more leverage the establishment feels abroad, the more desire it shows to tighten its grip at home. The cycle is visible already. In the pressure on courts, case of Justice Jahangiri and maybe others, in silencing the opposition, in normalization of extraordinary measures, arresting journalists. The idea is that foreign respect can cover the internal fragility. And relevance will be important to take over whole system. But history shows it cannot, especially when Punjab is not your side. Internationally, the Muslim bloc tried to signal unity. That's what we saw the Pact and everything. Yet, the results exposed the limits brutally, especially after this Trump meeting. The Pact seems to go into shadows. UAE is meeting Netanyahu while we expect them to join Pact. The Gaza discussion did not move towards sovereignty. It moved towards management, reconstruction funds, outside security arrangements, trusteeship of territory. Even BBC suggests Tony Blair as a viceroy. All ideas that treat Palestinians as subjects rather than citizens. Israel keeps control, Gaza is rebuilt but not freed, and the world calls it progress. That's the whole plan. And in this setting, if these Muslim countries which were invited in for the meeting with Trump, if these can contribute anything, they are open to do so. They have nothing else to contribute other than that. How shameful. And these Muslim countries came back home after listening to whatever Trump said. And nobody knows exactly what exactly Trump said, but we know he would continue to favor Israel, especially in terms of Gaza, especially after this statement that he will not let annex West Bank. So he will let annex Gaza. But we all know though. So now we all know that this kind of respect comes with a heavy risk. It ties Pakistan to the outcomes it does not control. Pakistan is not controlling the outcomes after that. And it deepens the contradiction between global optics and domestic legitimacy. There are too much errors involved right now. The regional environment makes this picture even more complex. India is balancing between Washington and Beijing. Never fully tied, but always active, although both the countries are pressurizing India. If Pakistan's military case in the Middle East expands, India will respond in Afghanistan by aligning even more closely with Israel, especially when the Trump is eyeing for Bagram base in Afghanistan, and especially after Russia, China, Iran, and Pakistani forces Tehrik-e-Taliban Afghanistan to contain terrorism in Afghanistan, which TTA cannot because they don't have total control, which makes them vulnerable. And now, when Khwaja Asif has made it clear that we consider China as a strategic partner and the American episode is just a flirt, so I don't think so anything being shown right now makes any sense. These may all be optics at the end of the day. Pakistan will once more become the pressure point, and China will support, while being supportive, will not underwrite unlimited costs if Pakistan drifts away or drifts too far into American-backed arrangements. Respect abroad, in other words, will come with the regional counter pressures that may be more than Pakistan can manage, especially with this system, the weak system in power. From here, the three paths are possible. One is the managed Gaza outcome, reconstruction without sovereignty, Israel retaining the keys, Muslims paying the bill or at least surrendering. Pakistan could be celebrated because after that, America might allow, like a military pact with Saudi and anything, because Israel got what it wants. So that will give short-term recognition. But domestically, it will be used to justify permanent exceptions, making the system brittle. Hence the panic in ruling elite. You can see the panic in ruling elite. And this sudden return of Nawaz to Pakistan, despite London, he was supposed to go to London, could be connected. There was news for Nawaz becoming active in politics. The second is desperation spiral. Israel is desperate and Israel may escalate. Israel is desperate because America is not saying anything over this pact with Pakistan. America is not saying anything to Europe, where Europe is recognizing Palestine. So Israel is desperate. So Israel may escalate. Public across Europe and elsewhere explode in anger too. They can explode in anger too. America is struggling to choose. So war can widen and Pakistan's leverage would spike then. That may look like a power, but it tempts overreach. And overreach at home will break everything because of orchestrated waves and provincial vulnerabilities. Because if you engage in there is India here. And there is Afghanistan, of course. The third is the reset. If Israeli politics shift, space may open for real two-state conversation. Right now, there is not. And Pakistan could convert its visibility into practical projects, provided it respects its limits at home, which is not possible under this system. So which path comes by is shaped by forces beyond our control. Israeli politics, American elections, European public opinion, India's or maybe Modi's arrogance, but we cannot control is our appetite. Or we can control, rather, is our appetite, establishment's appetite. If we use this moment to repair institutions, to bring transparency, to respect judicial independence, to allow open political competition, then respect abroad will only strengthen us. If we use it as to cover our silence or our human rights violations and stretch control, maybe talking about breaking the provinces, then today's leverage will become tomorrow's burden. It's as simple as that. Pakistan's military is gaining respect abroad, but respect is not enough. And that respect is making politicians in panic. It must be matched with the credibility at home. The floods already gave us a mirror. When people drowned, leaders were arguing over which pictures to share. That is the warning. And if we continue down the road of optics without outcomes, then the rising relevance will collapse under its own contradictions. But if we use it to build stability, then for once, external opportunity will meet internal strength. The choice always lies within Pakistan, but we refuse to take it because, not so surprisingly, Pakistan works on only one person's choices.